Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am so excited today to be sitting right across from AJ Forrest, otherwise known as NC Travel Eats. She's bringing North Carolina to the social media world. How to eat and explore in your own backyard, which I love because we got some pretty good backyards around here. We have some pretty good backyards. So, AJ, thank you for joining me today and letting
Absolutely.
me dip my toe in your world.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
So I'm AJ,
yeah.
and I grew up. I'm a North Carolina native, born and bred.
Yes.
So this is literally my backyard. This is the
Yeah.
only home I've had.
Yeah.
I grew up about an hour from here in the Moore County area.
Okay.
I grew up on a farm in a little town called Carthage. But I tell everybody that I'm from like the Pinehurst area because
Got
that's
it.
what everybody knows, golf. Um, so got my family's all there. My
Yeah.
husband's from there, so that's our hometown. Love it. But we moved to Raleigh after he went to NC State. I went to UNC. Go Tar Heels. Um,
The rivalry.
no,
No.
I did my grad school time at State too,
Yeah.
so I still have
Yeah.
some allegiance. Um, and we moved to Raleigh because our we love our small hometown, but for young adults, there was
Yes.
not as much to do. So we moved to Raleigh to explore around, and I was a teacher, and I then got my master's in school counseling. I still love teaching. Math and science was my background.
Okay.
But then the pandemic hit,
Yeah.
and I was actually at that time a director at a Sylvan Learning Center.
Okay.
So I was in the education world, just not in the classroom.
Okay.
And that I was able to really see just what was going on all
Yeah.
around from that, perspective in the education system. And my page, my NC Travel Eats page, started off literally around the pandemic time.
Yeah.
This will be year 3 that I'm
Okay.
going on, I want to say. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, year 3. It'll be August. Yeah, in
I
August.
lose track of
I know.
time.
I'm
I'm
like,
like, did
it's
COVID happen?
and that's what did it. I
Yeah.
literally that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
My little brother graduated from college this past weekend, and I
Yeah.
was like,
Where did the time
wait
go?
a second, like he started it when
Yeah.
and now it's like
Yeah.
blinked. And I have a toddler that happened like over COVID. I blinked. She's like about to be 4. What? But so I started this page. Obviously, everybody saw what was happening with the communities
Yeah.
and the local businesses. And I was actually, I don't know if you've heard of offline.
Yeah.
So I was like doing the offline, going around and trying some new places. And I started kind of just as a place to photo dump, kind of where I was going with offline and
Absolutely.
eating. And I had always grown up traveling
Okay.
with my parents. I was an only child. Well, sorry, back up. I'm adopted. Sorry, that's a fun fact. I don't
Got
mind
it.
sharing.
Got it.
So I have found my biological family,
Got it.
and so my little brother, he's my half brother
Okay.
from my biological family. I grew up an only child,
Okay.
so we traveled a lot. And my mom took pictures everywhere we went. And so as I got older, I wanted to do that as well. And
Yeah.
like if we went on the cruises, they'd bring out the food plates and I'd take pictures
Yes.
of all the little. So that's where, it was a passion. I got
Yeah.
started doing that. And from there, as I kind of grew my page, not really meaning to, like
Right.
it was just for fun,
Right.
businesses started messaging me and they were like, "Hey, would you like to come out and try our
Yeah.
restaurant?" And I was like, "Oh, wait, this is a thing?" Like, you know. Um, and so at that point, my husband had gotten a new job. So I was able to do the full-time mom
Yeah.
situation, and also started realizing that I could, like, what is this? What is this
Right. What
growing?
is this world?
What is this digital marketing world that's
Yeah.
happening right now? And
Yeah.
I started exploring that while I was, able to be at home with her. I was tutoring, still doing some stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, this is something that could be like a job. Like
Yeah.
people do this.
Yes.
And I realized that there's a world of managing others' social medias. Like these small businesses don't have the time, like that's not a
And they
priority
don't
for
have the
them.
money either to be able to
Yes,
do it, to hire some
exact
big
like a big
agency.
right. And they like that's not a priority for them, but
Yeah.
it's still important for their
Yes.
business. Like that's where traffic is now.
Yep.
And so as far as, marketing.
Yep.
So anyways, I started building my page and was like, okay, let's see how we can grow this.
Yeah.
And then I kind of started its Forest Media. So where
Yeah.
I started working with some local businesses to help
Okay.
them, whether that's just grab content on the side
Yeah.
for them, whether that's going and actually running their social media
Yeah.
pages, helping with events. So it's kind of a two-way stream of I have my NC Travel Eats that I work with
Yeah.
businesses and promote there, and then
You help them do the
yeah, the
same thing.
media, yeah, for them
Yeah.
behind the scenes. So,
I love that.
and I was able to kind of like, how can I make this work as a full-time job?
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, it is paying more than teaching.
Absolutely. We were just talking about that. Like that's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. And I still love teaching. I still tutor, but like I was saying,
Yeah.
I have a family and I'm able to spend more time with her. My daughter
Yeah.
comes with me when we go
I love that.
traveling. She's able to experience all of these fun places
Yeah.
and it's just incredible. Even like I grew up here,
Yeah.
but being able, it's so fun to plan some of these day trips we've been going
Yeah.
on and like just to, like you said, show what's in your backyard.
100%.
When the pandemic happened, we couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to show people that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't have the means to travel. It's
Right.
okay if you don't have the physical ability to travel.
Yeah.
North Carolina's a great place to be stuck.
Yeah. I will never complain about being stuck in North Carolina. What was, you went to school for education. What was the learning curve from you when you really got into social media that you were like, oh shit, I need to kind of learn some of this stuff?
um, it was definitely so you obviously pick up like the editing,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, especially when Instagram decided it wanted to change from, carousel photos being
Yes.
its focus to Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
That was like completely.
Yes.
And I was one of those ones that I was like, I'm holding firm. I'm going to stay with photos. I
Yeah.
love photos. I love editing my photos, but then like you're not
Just
going to grow that way.
no.
Um, growing your page, Reels is where you're going to grow. That's where you're going to be
Yeah.
seen from in the outside community. But so that was a learning curve.
Yeah.
It was also, being able to like pitch yourself to businesses
Oh God, yeah.
and like explain to them, because it's right now we're at that place of businesses are slowly starting to recognize that this is important, but it's slow.
Yeah.
So understanding like this is going to help you in the long run get traffic through the door. So
Yep.
really that like I'm not a salesperson, but I'm
Right.
having to sell my
Yep.
services and help them realize like I can, get you from here to here.
Yep. Key differentiators in your almost your elevator pitch in terms of what sets
Yes.
you apart.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's very different. Like I obviously enjoy talking to people. I was
Yeah.
teaching, I had students and parents and all of that, but this is a different
It's a different type.
right. Like I didn't have to go up there and say, come be in my classroom. This is why,
Yeah.
that was not,
Totally.
so it's different. Even for my page, even for NC Travel Leads.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even for this, for me too, I'm an introvert. I'm like, I will be so happy to sit in my home and not see a single person for days. But so for me, like these interactions though, this isn't nerve-wracking to me, but putting myself out there in an email and trying to write a pitch and something that's going to stand out to somebody, I'm like, what makes my podcast different from any other podcast that might be reaching out to them
Right.
to come on?
Right. Exactly. You're exactly right.
And so I'm like, oof, what are...
I know, especially when, it's the social media world is taken off, so there's so many
100%.
great content creators popping up, but that
Yeah.
means, it's also getting like competitive world. And I don't even
Yeah.
like saying that,
Yes.
because I have had help from others and I
Yeah.
love helping my fellow content creators as well.
Yeah.
But that being said, like you said, you have to set yourself apart. Like
Yeah.
what is going to make this business want to work with me?
Yep.
But I've had to really, I've learned in my growing up that I used to always think I was an extrovert. I am an extroverted introvert.
Okay, so everybody has these classifications, and I just don't even know if I can say I am one of those.
And
I, yeah,
that's truly fine.
yeah.
But like my husband is a true extrovert. Like
Okay.
his battery, as they say, his battery, and this is how you know his battery gets recharged by being around people
Oh
and
God.
being in groups. Like he loves socializing,
Yeah.
hanging out with people. That drains me, which means we're introverted.
Yeah.
But I still do have some excitement and do have
Yes.
some like, oh yeah, I do want to see my
Yeah.
friends. I do want to go out and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. So that's where it's like, okay, I still can turn on
Yes.
the bubbly. I still can turn
Yes.
on the let's go out
Yep.
and have a good. So that's where I'm like, okay, I can be an extroverted
Yeah.
introvert. Now there are some people who are like,
I think I'm a little bit of that. Like I did on a Thursday night, we did the 100th episode celebration
mm-hmm,
here. Friday, went to a hockey game. Saturday, went to the pickleball tournament in town. Went to another hockey game. I got to Sunday and I was like, I'm done.
yeah.
I don't want to see another person.
But you were still able to like,
but I was still
make it happen.
able to make it happen and
Right.
be out there. But I got to it and I was like, I'm red. I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm ready not to see another person
Yeah.
for a few days.
Yeah.
Except when I have to get on a call on Monday and
Yeah.
be remote working.
Right.
I'm like, that's only when I want to see people. I'm like,
I understand.
yeah. I was like, crawling my bed.
For all of my friends, if you ever listen to this, I love you guys dearly. But if you ever cancel plans, I am not going to be mad at you. I love you, but
I've seen it.
Just know this.
Yeah.
Don't ever feel stressed.
Yeah. The TikToks of like I just saw one and I was like, this is so real. And they were literally walking out the door and their friend calls and she's telling them they can't go out. And as she's telling them everything that's happening, they're literally like pouring the wine, getting into comfy clothes, turning the TV on. And I was like,
yes.
I was like, this is me. I'm like, I am the same way. I'm like, you cancel plans? I'm going to sit right here on my couch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to lay right here after my day.
I'm going to be fine. Just fine. I know.
If you can't find AJ and I, you know where to find us.
Yeah, absolutely. On the couch.
I do want to do a rapid fire questions with you.
Okay.
Right in the middle of this as we get some of your favorites.
Yeah. Oh no. I knew that was going to happen.
I'm secretly making a list so I can just go do my own stuff.
I'm just kidding.
Pull up her Instagram as she's doing it.
No, I was like made a list of my like favorites.
There you go. Favorite North Carolina gem for a spontaneous day trip.
Ooh. Oh. Okay. And this is recent. Edenton.
Okay.
Yeah. Edenton, North Carolina blew me away.
Okay.
And it's only about 2 hours from here.
Okay.
Lovely. And so much North Carolina history that I had no idea about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Add it to the list.
Surrounded by water. Like it's a little, inlet. Like
I won't be mad about it.
Beautiful.
Best spot for a scenic hike in North Carolina.
I gotta be cliche and go with Grandfather Mountain.
I know.
I mean,
it's the best.
But it's because there's something literally for everyone.
Yep.
And just in that area in general, the Boone, like West Jefferson.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's our go-to area.
Yeah.
As far as like hidden gems, we love West Jefferson.
Okay.
But I mean, you have so many different hikes that range in easy to
extremely like, are we really doing this?
We're climbing
today?
up rocks.
Yeah.
Yes. And then obviously you have the landmark, the Mile High Bridge. So it is true. Like if you're going to North Carolina and you're like, okay, I'm going to the mountains. I have one day.
Yes.
You have to.
You have to. Are you beach or mountains?
Beach.
Thank God.
My husband's mountains.
Oh, you really have a split house.
Yes.
I'm beach too.
I mean, he loves beach.
Yeah.
He loves beach.
But if he's picking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My family has a house near the Crystal Coast area.
Okay.
And
my mom lives in Oak Island.
Okay.
My dad,
I was just there
Outer
recently.
Banks. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I was literally just there last weekend. I was
Yep.
like,
You are, yeah, prime. That's beach girl right there. Um, and so he'll go obviously because we go a
yeah,
lot. Like, I mean, right there.
what are you gonna do?
Right. But he's whenever like our anniversary is coming up. And
Okay.
he's like, hey, you want to go to the mountains? You want to kind of go to the west? You know, because it's like we always
Do we
go to
want
the
to go?
beach that way. Yeah. So, you know, but I love the mountains.
Yeah.
I went you know, a good amount when I was younger, but
Yeah.
his love of them has grown on me.
Yeah.
I just don't like the cold.
No. Mm-mm. No.
So, you know, me going to the mountains in the summer, that's great.
Totally. Totally.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I love sun
But at the same
and
time,
warmth.
for me, I'm like, if I'm gonna be hot, I want water to
Right.
be
And the
able to
water
get
is
in. Freezing.
freezing in the mountain. Yes. So it's
Yeah.
a little bit of conundrum.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Top underrated restaurant or cafe in your area.
Shout out to our go-to Mexican restaurant. We're on the border of like Nightdale, Raleigh.
Okay.
El Senor in Nightdale.
Can't go wrong with El Senor.
Like amazing
Yeah.
spot. And then also it's a food truck. Shout out to Tambachi.
Ooh.
I don't know if you've heard of Tambachi, but
Uh-uh.
literally some of the best hibachi in town.
You had me at food truck.
Yeah,
Had me
like
at food truck.
Tambachi he's ridiculous. It's like
Okay.
it's him and his girlfriend. Sorry if it's fiance now, guys, but him and his girlfriend. But they're amazing,
Yeah.
lovely, and they cook everything there. And it's
Oh.
like they've traveled like overseas and like really honed in their
Oh, that's
art and craft,
awesome.
and so yeah, and food truck. But yeah, they're really so good.
You can't go, and like I said, you can't go wrong with a food
Mm-hmm.
truck. I'm like, oof,
Yeah,
it's my thing.
absolutely.
Most breathtaking view you've captured in North Carolina.
Oh Lord, that one's tough. Um, I mean, it's gotta be somewhere on the coast.
Yeah.
Probably, I would say a sunrise
Mm.
at the point on Emerald Isle.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous. Like if you
Yeah.
can hit it where it's those colors, even the sunset,
Yes.
like perfect. And the point, you know, it's where the,
Yeah.
you know, coast meets the inlet. So that's
Yeah. Are you sunrise or sunset?
sunset. No,
Too.
I will. I mean, obviously, if I kind of take pictures or
Yeah.
you know, because it's like, but I gotta sleep in. I like my
Glass of
sleep.
wine in hand, watching that
I
sunset.
gotta have my sleep.
Yeah. I am a 7 a.m. I am not a 6.
Yes, and I mean, even like, and everybody was like, you know, you're gonna be a teacher. You'll get
Yeah.
used to it. Getting up. Okay, I did it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And even like, still, if I chose, like, I would probably naturally wake up like 9, maybe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And thank God I work from home.
yes.
Hidden gem accommodation recommendation for a weekend getaway.
Recently we went, and this is going back to the
Edenton.
no the mountains.
Okay.
We were near, it's called Sugar Grove. It's near Boone. It's
Okay.
like right outside of Boone.
Okay.
We stayed at this, it's called Mountain Magic like farm, or I
Okay.
gotta get that right, but it is a farm Airbnb
Mm.
where they have multiple, like they have like 2 different farmhouses, like
Oh,
a little
cool.
small like cottage, but it
Yeah.
is on like a 20-acre like plot of land.
Beautiful.
They have a little petting farm with little goats
Oh.
and bunnies. They have cows in the pasture. Like I was
Yeah.
literally in the hot tub, and there was like a cow or like a pony walking next to me while I was, and you know, it's in a
I love
fence.
it.
So it was awesome.
Yeah.
And throughout, like there's little trails where you can hike up in the woods.
Oh,
You
beautiful.
don't have to leave.
Yeah.
And there's like a huge slide for the kids down the hill. You get
Oh,
in these little like
cool.
sleds. There's
Yeah.
zip lines. It was just a really cool property experience.
Nice.
But yeah, all
I
in
love
one.
that. Very cool. Favorite local festival or event that showcases North Carolina culture?
Oh man.
They've been popping up a lot lately.
I
Like there've
know.
been more and more.
I know that one's hard. Oh well, literally when you said event, it popped in my head the Cheer Wine Festival. It's coming
That's
up.
what I was thinking.
Yeah, we're going to that. That'll be that's next weekend.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's in Salisbury. That's a big one.
Yep.
As far as, I mean, you can't get much more North Carolina than that, because
Yeah.
they bring other North Carolina brands
Yep.
to there. So I mean, there's also like the other festivals like that got to be NC
Yes.
holds. They hold a lot
Yeah.
of local,
Yep.
but I mean, Cheerwine will bring like
Yeah, they
Kakalaki. They'll
bring.
bring all the local like Lowe's
Oh yeah.
and all the any food or
Yeah.
breweries even.
Yep.
So
Best activity or attraction for families in North Carolina.
I mean, we got Carowinds.
We are lucky enough that we do have that. We do have that.
So let's see. I mean, that has everything for families.
Yep.
Um, we have recently, like last year, the Fantasy Lake Water Park opened up
Yeah.
out in Wake Forest. That's a super,
It
super
was
fun one.
big too.
Yeah. And they got some new stuff coming, I think for younger kids
Oh,
too this
nice.
year. So that's a really fun activity to do
Yeah.
in the triangle.
Yep.
Um, there's so much stuff. Going to any of like a rainy day, going to any of
Yeah.
like the museums, like Greensboro has an amazing
Yeah. Yeah.
all of those marbles.
The one
Um,
that my favorite's always been the massive science museum
yeah,
downtown. Like
yes,
I went there so many times as a kid, but it's
yeah.
been this centerpiece for downtown Raleigh for
There's
years.
so much to do.
Yes.
Yeah. There's any of those are super for, I mean, even as an adult.
Most memorable encounter you've had while exploring in North Carolina, Gem.
Okay, so and this is a restaurant, I guess. Um, so down in Emerald Isle,
Okay.
there is a restaurant, and this is just because I love this show. Restaurant Shepherd's Barbecue,
Okay.
right on the island, and I had worked with them before. Like I went and had a
Yeah.
good, delicious before they opened up brick and mortar.
Okay.
And Guy Fieri happened to go out there to do Triple D,
Love it.
and he then had them cater his family reunion that was like in Atlantic Beach.
Oh.
So this team, like, they're doing amazing things,
Yeah.
and it's been really cool to like hear them talk
Yeah.
about their experiences and to
Yeah.
see how they've really been able. Just there's been plenty of places like Guy and other people have been like
Yeah.
Charlotte and all these other places, but for a team that I've actually like known and worked
Yes.
with to have this success and to
Yes.
see them have this continued
Yeah.
success. Like he asked them out to Stagecoach.
That's fantastic.
Like, yeah, and that's been a really cool experience
Yeah.
because for them to have that success and to be like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, like I've had their food. It's delicious and they're
Yeah.
an awesome couple. Like to
Yeah.
actually be able to get behind, like that's pretty cool to
Yeah.
be able to witness and
Yeah.
see. So any time I've been able to work with, I guess in general, the
Yeah.
small businesses and know the amazing people behind it and to see them
Yeah.
soar and to see them get awards and see them take off. Those are
Nice.
always like memorable experiences
Yeah.
for me.
One word to describe the essence of North Carolina.
Home.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say adventure, but I mean,
Yeah.
and not even for just me the being here.
Yeah.
So many people move here from all over and still are like, no, this is my home.
And do you get it sometimes? I get people are like, "Are you born and raised in Raleigh?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And they're like, "That's really rare." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "I don't feel like it's rare. I just feel like maybe you haven't been here and you're now meeting people who are somewhere that they would probably never
Yeah.
leave."
Yeah. I feel like, especially if you go into the small, like especially Raleigh,
Yeah.
I guess Raleigh is one of those places where it's like, it's the city. Everybody's like here,
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to like the smaller, like side towns and you
Yes.
have the smaller communities there, then you're like, okay, that's where I grew up or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess it is kind of rare, I guess, specifically Raleigh.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be like, oh, Cary,
Yeah.
or like I grew up in Zebulon,
Yes.
or, whatever.
Yeah.
So I get that, but yeah, somebody had to live here, like and be born here. And
I'm like, well, I don't know why it's such a shock that I never
know,
leave here.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about in the beginning, but about, businesses reaching out to you and beginning that process. How do you go about selecting what opportunities you say, yes, I do want to further this relationship. I do want to work with these people. What does that process look like?
Well, at the beginning, it's changed
Yeah.
obviously over time
Yeah.
because now we have to put a little bit of more of the business aspect into
Yes.
it. So removing that part from it though,
Yeah.
because that's where I mean, I want the core of this was I want to help small businesses grow.
Yeah.
I want everybody to see how amazing North Carolina is and
Yeah.
support local.
Yep.
But also I had to support my family.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I still have to make money.
Yep.
So that's where the business part comes in. But aside from that, if places reached out or even if I reach out to places,
Yeah.
it really there's a lot of different you know, creators and in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And like it really has to fall under what I think my like lane is, like what I'm trying to
Totally.
do. I'm not like don't get me wrong, I love a good time, but like
Yeah.
I'm like have a family now. I'm not going to be necessarily like where you're gonna find all the party stuff.
Drinking downtown, like
Right.
all the, yeah.
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 And I might do once in a while like some fun like, if it's holidays or whatever,
Yeah.
they have all the holiday pop-up bars, that type of
Yep.
thing. But it's got to kind of go in line with what my follower like why are you
Yeah.
following
Your
me?
audience. Yeah.
Yeah, my audience is there for a reason. I do like mix in some couple stuff with,
Yeah.
family stuff, but it has to really align with that. And obviously, like if a place reaches out, then, I'll look up about them,
Yep.
kind of read about them. And we do have a community of, like I have made friends and other
Yeah.
content creators if they've worked with them, and had a
Yeah.
good experience. But it's really, it has to feel like kind of in that like my North Carolina, like
Yeah.
explore your backyard,
Yep.
that vibe.
Yep.
So
You just kind of hit on this a little bit, and I was down in Oak Island this weekend because my sister was doing her grand opening of her own. She's an esthetician, her own
nice,
space, and
cool.
so it's really beautiful that to see that she's created her own community there of other people in her industry. You were just talking about it. How have you gone out and about and said, hey, you're kind of in this space too, this content creation? Can I learn from you? How have you gone about and created that community with other content creators?
Yeah, when I first started out, some of the bigger creators were, kind of starting, getting their name.
Yep.
Like NC Eat and Play, NC Tripping. They have
Yes.
been so helpful. They're lovely, hardworking women.
Yes.
And they were always they were the, kind of two that grew really quickly.
Yeah.
And whenever I had a question or, would reach out, they were always so sweet to just, helpful hint.
Yeah.
Or how do you do this?
Yeah.
Like I said, I like this was not what I had my background in. So they were always so nice, but it was really hard. I mean, we were talking about being
Totally.
like introvert versus
Yeah.
extrovert. That was, that's been kind of hard is like, and
Yeah.
asking for help,
Yeah.
one of those things,
Yeah.
especially, I was the math brain teacher.
Yes.
So I'm like, let me figure this all out
Yeah.
myself. But like, it's okay to ask for help. And obviously there are, some like with any job that are not going to be as helpful, that
Right.
are not going to, and that's fine. That's their business. This is how they want to operate. But there are a lot of I've met other creators at events that I, create a relationship with, that will go out and, get food or do our events together. And being able to know who I could talk to,
Right.
who I could reach out to,
Yeah.
that type of, and then also bestowing that to like if others reach out to me who are
100%.
new and like I want to do this, like what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And knowing, hey, I started somewhere too, so
Yes.
be an NC Tripping, be
Yeah.
an NC
Yeah.
and Play, be one of those helpful. Even Raleigh Food Trap, he was helpful. So
That's awesome. I think it's community is so incredibly important, and like I
Yeah.
talk about it quite a bit, and I think it's a word that's overused, but at the same time I think networking, I think everybody thinks networking is as well, but
Right.
I think creating those relationships, especially whether you're in the content creation space, whether you want to create a community in
Mm-hmm.
something that's just strictly about food, so you have your own food
Right.
community inside all this. There's so many that you can go create because everybody has their own interests, everybody has their own focuses. And so
Right.
I think finding whatever community you feel you fit best into,
Right.
it's so important to go find those because
Mm-hmm.
one, at the same time, I like social anxiety. For me, I'm like,
Right.
for me, meeting new people is so,
Right.
I'd rather curl in a ball.
Right.
Um, but I think it's so important to still put yourself out there because those
Absolutely.
relationships matter so
Right.
much.
And see, and there's even for the ones who like I might not run into events like
Yeah.
Magnolia Megan. She's another
Yeah.
one who has been so helpful in helping me like behind the scenes.
Yes.
But she like I don't necessarily see her at all of like the events that I may go to.
Okay.
Or any, like some of the other content creators,
Yeah.
especially if more of the like food events are like
Yeah.
more food specific.
Yes.
But like, uh, I didn't always see her, so I was kind of like, oh, like I'm nervous to reach out. But
Right.
like once I did, she is so sweet.
Love
She was
that.
so helpful to, like
Yeah.
any questions, and she's been a good friend as well. So,
I love that.
being able, like you said, to understand that it is important to build those
Yeah.
relationships and put yourself out
Yep.
there. That has been something that, the more
Yes.
introverted part of me has had to, learn.
When you're going about in creating content in
Hmm.
whatever, however process you look like in your content calendar, how do you balance between promoting and working in the work you've done with these smaller local places with, hey, this is AJ's brand, this is still what AJ's kind of, what type of videos you put out, things like that. How do you balance the two and making sure you're delivering on everything?
Right, right. And that's where it comes into the whole business with the
Yeah.
community and
Yeah.
also too. So that's why it is important to, even when you do the paid partnerships, that
Yeah.
the brands still are something that like you would see on your page. You know
Totally.
what I mean? But that being said, if I'm able to have a brand partnership with like a bigger,
Yeah.
local business, say like Cheerwine or Biscuit, one of the bigger local
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm able to secure a couple of those, which still align with my page, because it's local, then I'm able to then devote more of my creative time
Yeah.
to where I want to do, spend a day here
Yeah.
or go check out this little local spot that I
Yeah.
wanted to, and I can do what I want to provide
Yeah.
for my. So there's a little bit of a balance of,
Yeah.
okay, do I have these contracts, they still align with my page, but I have to have enough of those
Yeah.
so that I can.
Be able to tick, tick, tick. Yep. Yep.
Because otherwise you're just a page full of like small, like paid random
Yes.
brand partnerships here and there.
Yeah.
And it has to make sense.
Yep. What role do you think, digital creators and content creators play in promoting local businesses and, helping North Carolina get out there on social media for people who aren't in North Carolina, but, helping the local business and the community?
The world has gone digital.
100%.
That's so,
Yep.
here's the big thing, and this is going to get into a little education for
There you
local
go.
businesses.
There you go.
So, the cool thing about social media is that we're able to track how many views we get,
Yep.
how many shares, how many
Yep.
comments. We can even put links that the businesses can track how many links were clicked and
Says AJ drove this much.
right.
Yes.
And so that is something that like a newspaper or a magazine
Yeah.
cannot do. Unfortunately, I'm a reader. I love books.
Yeah.
Books are important. It makes me so sad. Like the kids take their EOGs now online, which blows my
Yeah.
brain. It's undeniable. We're not going to backtrack.
Yeah.
The world is moving towards more technology.
Yep.
And so, being able to show like, a magazine can say, okay, I have these many subscribers.
Yep.
They're going to get this magazine, but they can't say, okay, did they actually open it?
Did they
Did they make
read
it to your page?
Yes.
Did they read your article? That's like 3 different factors that they can't even tell you a
Yeah.
definite answer about.
Yeah.
Now you could poll or you can ask people, how did you find out about me in a, magazine, blah, blah.
Right.
But I can do that by screenshotting, you had this many
Yeah.
views, your thing was shared,
Yep.
and so if you think about that, like, um, that's really a way to promote North Carolina. Like you're able to 100% say like, hey, spend a day in, on the coast of North Carolina, or
Right.
take a day trip or a weekend trip to the coast of North Carolina.
Yeah.
You can say, oh, it got 100,000 views, versus if this was an article in like the magazine, you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's, those views are coming from all over.
So many different
Yeah.
places.
Especially if you're, on TikTok as well, that's
Oh my
whole
God.
nother bear.
That's a whole other problem for us to deal with.
Yeah.
No, but it's so true, because I think even, I mean, in my full-time job, I'm like, okay, we got to create UTM so we can say, yes, if this comes back to the website and we're able to track from the website,
Yeah.
we're able to say, okay, this came from organic social and this came from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it's those things now where, to your point, like we can't see that from traditional older media,
Right.
like I think everybody would like to, which is why I think, Raleigh Magazine is a example that's popping onto my mind. They have the actual magazine form, but they also have the entire website. They have
Right.
their social media that they,
Right.
link back to their pages, which is smart. But at the same time, you're sitting there, you're like, sometimes you're like, why go create the actual physical magazine? What's the purpose of
Yeah.
the physical magazine?
Yeah.
But it's also, then you look at it and you're like, okay, then you're hitting the audience, which is the older generation,
Right.
who is not prone to be on Instagram
Right.
or all these other mediums
Right.
that today our generations
Right.
are. So it's a two-edged sword, some of these places, because you're trying to meet everybody wherever
Yeah.
they are and whatever's easiest
That's
for
right.
them.
And you have to just be able to say, like, like you were, asking about, like, how, like, that's what's going to be more beneficial for the small business. What's going to be
Yeah.
more beneficial as to getting traffic for, and I mean, it does depend on your audience. If you're a small business in which your traffic's going to be more of the older generation, then sure,
Yeah.
you might not think of a digital platform.
Yep.
But if you're like, okay, I mean, right now, most people 60, 50 and younger,
Yeah,
have, social media.
some sort of social media.
Yeah. They're gonna, if that's their business audience.
Yeah.
So
It's one of my first questions that I ever ask any clients. I'm like, what is the audience you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to talk to? I'm like, because that's going to depend really on where you're trying to meet everybody, whether
Right.
that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter,
Right.
Instagram, whatever it may be. That matters.
Right.
Because if not, if you don't ask that question, you have no idea and it's just a shot in the dark.
Absolutely.
AJ, my last question for you is just, what inspires you?
Well, besides my family, my family, my little one, my daughter, a lot of what I decide to do, or a lot of what drives or fuels my page is, family and, us, and even creating it. And my passion was teaching, and it whole situation is unfortunate, but this has been a blessing. Don't get me wrong. I love doing this. I love what I do. It did grow out of a passion project that I was able to turn into a job. But ultimately my family is what drives me and what pushes me to do the not so fun parts that I don't necessarily like.
Totally.
Of it. But then also just the state in general. I mean, there's not a lot of places that you can say, like, especially from where we are centrally in the state, I can go this way and hit the coast
100%.
and this way and hit the mountains.
I'm like, I say that to everybody. I'm like, I'm incredibly lucky. I'm like, it's 2 hours to the beach.
Yeah.
2 hours to the mountains.
Yeah.
3 hours to Charlotte. I'm like,
yeah, there's not many places that can say that.
Yeah.
And so to be able to, like, it's been really fun I've started this year a NC day trip series where I picked a bunch of smaller towns that are 2 hours or less away from the triangle. And I've been, I researched things to do in the towns and the fun things. And what has been really awesome is the people that are from these towns, or either like know about these towns, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy to see you, like, not romanticize, but like that you're showing, like, I never looked at my town this way.
Yeah.
And that's so, like, I get the chills when I hear people say, like, I've never looked at my town this way. Like, you've lived here your whole life,
Yeah.
and your own backyard was just as magical if you just looked at it from different.
Different.
Yeah.
Love that.
And obviously, like, yes, everywhere has its
Yes.
like pros and cons,
Yeah.
but there's so much to do here.
Yeah.
And in every
Yeah,
town.
we're lucky.
I grew up in a 2 stoplight town. And there was another, she's a lovely content creator. I'm fixing to blog. She recently went to
I
Carthage.
know.
Carthage, my 2 stoplight town.
Yeah.
And did a little day trip, had pictures and stuff. And I was like, this is precious. Like my little Carthage,
Yeah. Yeah.
just that somebody to see it from somebody's eyes like
Yeah.
that, and how, that was just my everyday. But
I love it.
yeah, that inspires me.
Are there places that you're aiming to go around North Carolina this year, or that you're wanting to showcase more of?
Yes, I do.
You have a list, ongoing list?
Yes. So my day trip series is I at the beginning of the year that started off as a extreme venture that I was trying to do one a week.
Okay.
But
Wow.
yes, yeah, I started working full time though with a media company like recently and doing
Yes.
my media stuff. And so I slowed down a little bit with my page because I've been
Yeah.
having to do so much of the
Yeah.
behind the scenes for,
Other people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. When you're posting all these reels for other businesses, you're like,
I don't really want to do it for myself.
yeah. I've slowly got back into
Yeah.
I've gotten into the feeling of the work for that, and
Yep.
then
Totally.
feeling like I want to jump back in. But yes, I do have a whole list of like day trips, but
Nice.
I do want to do more of exploring. We have a couple more mountain trips coming up,
Okay.
but I have obviously spent a lot of my life at the coast, but
Yeah.
that's specifically been in like the Crystal Coast areas.
Totally.
Because like, why am I gonna go?
There's so much.
Right. And so, but if we were like, our family's going on vacation, we're gonna go there.
Yeah.
So I really want to go explore some more of the
Coast.
smaller beach towns, and the coast.
Yep.
Like I've never been to like Cape Hatteras. Like I've never been
Okay.
to Kitty Hawk.
Yeah.
I've never been to.
Well, and that's I've spent a lot of my childhood like in the Outer Banks,
Right.
in Wrightsville Beach, in Ocean Isle, in Oak Island now, where I'm like, people don't understand, like you can go from Duck, North Carolina, which is at the very top,
Mhm.
all the way down to
Yeah.
I think it's Oak Island, or if it's Sunset, or if it's
Ocean
Ocean
yeah.
Isle.
Yeah,
Ocean Isle.
Ocean Isle last. Yeah.
I'm like, it takes 5 hours to get from
Yeah.
Wilmington to the Outer Banks.
Yep.
We've got probably at least 12-hour drive
Yeah.
down the coast of North Carolina.
Mhm.
And it's crazy that, people have their favorites and where they go, but
I
I'm
know.
like, gotta explore. I've never been to Bald
I
Head
know.
Island. I'm like, I want to go to Bald Head Island
Yeah.
just to be able to see what it's like.
Yeah. Well, and see, Edenton was like near kind of the Bath, like almost
Yeah, yeah.
like up more that way. And
Yeah.
I'd never been in that area.
Yeah.
And so, so a lot of the coastal towns, I'm a Crystal Coast, don't want to be a Crystal Coast snob. I want to explore more of the coast because we do have a gorgeous coast. I mean,
do.
like it's the best.
We're lucky.
Yeah. It's so,
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yes.
I've been to some of the other like state coastlines. I'm like,
Yeah.
yikes.
Yeah. I'm like,
sorry, guys.
Sorry,
if you're
but-
listening to, but I mean, we're in North Carolina, so
yeah, we're lucky. We're really lucky.
yes.
AJ, thank you for being here with me today and let me
Absolutely.
dive into NC Travel Eats. And if you guys do not follow NC Travel Eats, please go follow AJ.
Yes, follow me.
In all of the journeys she's going on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, just thank you for taking the time and being here with me today.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I will have all of NC Travel Eats and AJ's socials down below, so please go give her a follow. But as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.